All right. Another edition. Trevor Steele, Through the Noise, Business, Life, and Lies. It's a podcast. I'm interested to see how this one turns out. My good friend, long friend, mentor, educator, coach, uh, guru, his favorite word, Ron Musgraves. If you don't know Ron Musgraves, well, you're about to. And you're either going to love him or you're going to hate him. There's no in between. Ron Musgraves.
You were going to use the word Godfather. Now, what happened,
The
man?
Godfather of Pressure Washing. I cannot believe I
Yeah.
forgot that.
Craig Harrison calls me the pressure washing prophet. I thought that was always funny
That
because back in the day, I was a little bit ahead of the game. I've slowed down. I've slowed down a little bit, so I'm not ahead of the game as much as I used to be.
you could have your own TV show with that kind of title.
Well, that's how it goes. Too bad I didn't. Well, TV's dead, right? So we don't want to.
Well,
We don't want a TV show anymore, do we? We don't
no,
want a
you want a
TV show.
YouTube channel. You want a
Yeah.
podcast or a YouTube channel. You just want it to be on Joe Rogan's level, not Trevor Steele's level.
Yeah, that's it. Joe
Yeah.
Rogan. But I don't think our industry is near as big enough for that. Isn't it funny how everybody in this industry that winds up coaching starts out coaching pressure washers, and then they realize, hey man, there's not enough pressure washers out there
Home service.
for me to make a living, and it's always then it goes to a home service business. But I always think that's kind of funny.
Yeah,
How
that's
that
the
how that
huge.
all how that
The
all started.
huge, right? The huge conference turned
Yeah.
into a home service. Everything, like even Cabo. We're going to Cabo, right? With Carlos Gonzalez's summit.
Yeah, and
Am I
that's
right?
kind of funny because Carlos was never a home service guy. He was a
Right, but you do what
commercial.
you got to do,
He
right?
was commercial, man, all the way through and through. No,
Yeah.
actually, truthfully, Carlos has got a pre-commercial side that was residential. He was a residential guy way before he was, but he never really talks about that anymore. And it was like in the hardscape industry type of thing. So he did a
Mhm.
lot of that hardscape stuff. That's where the pressure washing tool obviously got in his hands first. I don't want to tell his story though, but
Yeah.
because you want to hear my story, which I think is I think my story is kind of boring, but
All right, well, let's
you
let's
know,
go back to the beginning. He's called the Godfather of Pressure Washing. I may have coined that term. I'm not sure, but if
you're gonna
I
get
don't
it.
think anybody would question it. You know what they used to call me though? Do you remember this? What did
Yeah,
you what
yeah,
what
Leonardo.
Leonardo de Pressure Washer?
Yeah, Leonardo the pressure washer. It's
That
funny
was
stuff, man.
20
Funny.
something years
I
ago when I
think
was a
Tony
kid.
Shelton. I
He
think Tony
did.
Shelton coined that on you.
He did.
Yeah,
That
he
one's for you,
coined that.
Tony.
He did that to you. But no, man. I just I guess my entrepreneur career. You really want to go back and really
All the way back.
go back to it. So my family never had jobs. I know people looking at that. The guys with the job right now, oh, were they homeless? A bunch of deadbeats? No. When I say they never had jobs, they were always entrepreneurs. This goes back to my great grandfather. None of them ever had jobs. One side of the family were farmers. Another side of the family were tailors. And so those are my grandparents. They never had a job. They never raised their kids to have a job. And obviously, my parents never raised any of my siblings to have a job because none of them had a job. They've all been entrepreneurs. They've all done their own things. I'm doing the same thing with my kids. I hope everybody out is listening to this because it's what you should be doing with your kids. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that college is worthless, but because we'll just get into a political debate and fight over that. But as a lot of guys say in this industry, not me, but a lot of guys, there's guys in this industry that make way more money than doctors, way more money than surgeons, And I want to make something clear. I'm not going to talk numbers today with guys because people, when you all too often talk numbers, they don't believe them. So I don't want to talk about numbers today, Trevor. But I will tell you that my journey as an entrepreneur started when I was really young. I went to the principal's office because in class, Johnny stood up and said, "Mrs. Smith, I'm going to be a firefighter. Billy, I'm going to be a police officer. Jimmy, I'm going to be a construction worker like my dad." And I said, "I'm not going to have a job. I'm going to own a business." Boom, straight to the principal's office, And if you can imagine my mother was furious when she came down there and got me.
Oh,
when
yeah.
she found out that they sent me to the office because I said I wasn't going to have a job. And because that's what this school was about, conditioning you for what? A job, you know? And obviously this was like the little career things that you start doing in 3rd and 4th grade. And you do, you know, you do interviews and stuff like that. And it was funny because when I would do interviews with these teachers, you know, we were doing job interviews in the 4th grade, if you could believe that, 3rd and 4th grade, right? Who would even think that that they don't do that in school anymore? But that's what they were doing in my time period. And then obviously it transitioned into your time period was go to college, get a job. You know, you're going to get a good paying job, but first you're going to get that $300,000 worth of debt that you don't need. That they'll give you to go to college, but not to start a business, right? So that's where my journey started, and I wound up outselling. I remember we would sell the Booster Club would sell things to do for sports and stuff, and I remember we had bags that had our NFL teams on them, and we went out and would sell those things, and you know we sold so many, we were promised we're going to get a batting cage or whatever it was. And every so many bags you got a 10-speed bicycle. Well, at the end of the thing, it wound up, I sold 35,000 bags. And, you know, where the goal was like, I think 35 bags or something like that. And what I did is I closed the deal for the entire district to have the school logos printed on every duffel bag. Yes, I'm the guy who got those in school bookstores across the entire country during the 80s. Instead of having NFL bag sales, you'd sell your own school bag at the bookstore. And then the booster clubs actually got some of the money for that, for the whole district. And they were able not to buy one junior high school a batting cage, but they were able to install batting cages in every junior high school across the entire city. So that's where my entrepreneurship and sales thing's called. And then that 10-speed bicycle, they showed up with a half truckload pickup truck full of bicycles to deliver to my house, which my father wouldn't let him deliver because I didn't need 300 bicycles.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty wild. It is pretty wild. But
where were the farmers from?
I did the same thing with the seed. They were from outside of Springfield, Illinois, Jackson County. It also buttons up to the Mississippi. I actually visited a 105-year-old great aunt years ago. She was 105 years old, living on a stilt house on the Mississippi, which I thought was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
What's up, Carlos?
I'm not checking the comments, huh?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
What's up, Carlos?
That happens. But yeah, my father moved from Southern Illinois to Chicago, and that's where he met my mother.
Gotcha. So for those of you that don't know, he's the godfather of pressure washing for a reason. He started, I want to say it had to be one of the first industry boards, right? The forum.
I now own one of the oldest ones because I bought it, but yeah, mine was probably the third oldest. Third,
definitely the most active. I was around back then. There's no question it was the most active. So if you don't know what a board is or a forum, then you're probably significantly younger than we are.
It was the Facebook of pressure washing, right?
Yeah. And so to this day, if you get on ChatGPT right now and ask where it gets its data from, guess where it comes from?
I'm the number one source. That's killing people right now.
I bet it is.
That's killing people. Why do people either get along with me or don't get along with me? What do you think the reason is? I mean, let's hear. You always say no one asks your thoughts. I'm asking you a question today. Or you say somebody always asks you a question. So there's my question.
You won't like my answer.
Well, you can tell me I'm a dickhead. I mean, whatever it is you want to say. I mean, I don't. I guess because I'm too direct is what I would say. I mean,
you're too direct, too fast.
Too direct, too fast. So I'm too quick.
You can be direct after you get to know somebody.
Yeah.
You can be direct with me. We've known each other 23 years.
That's why I made a lot of people cry.
Yeah.
And I have made people cry. So.
When was the last time Ron Musgraves cried?
Oh man, I don't have any idea. Probably, probably it was a bad situation. Probably some sort of a death in the family.
Like a decade.
Yeah, easily
Yeah.
that long ago. Yeah, easily that long ago.
So maybe you're a little cold-hearted too. I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm cold-hearted. I think I'm very sensitive to people and their feelings and things like that. But I just don't deal with. I don't deal with things like that. It's going to take a lot. It's going to
Yeah,
take a lot.
it's interesting to me because I'm the exact opposite. I literally probably cry every day. But it could be something small. It could be because I saw a picture of my oldest daughter when she was 3, or a song comes on. I'm just an emotional person, right? And I don't try and hide it. I don't care. If you don't
Yeah.
like it, you can go kick rocks. But
Oh, well, with family and stuff like that, it's probably been sooner than that. I mean, when you're dealing with stuff with church and things like that, and membership and fellowshipping and things happen to people. You always, I think sometimes you always put back things like, when you see things like that happen, you're glad and you're blessed that, hey, that's not you. It didn't happen to your kids, hang on a second.
yeah,
knock on some metal, because that's the last thing. I think one of the biggest things that we as parents and entrepreneurs, we want great things for our kids,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I think sometimes as an entrepreneur parent, I think I probably can put too much pressure. My older kids, I did that with. I've got great. I wanted with great success from that. But it could have went the other way too. I mean, it could have went the other way. I know my
Yeah.
younger kids now, and it's a new generation. The words I can't use around them and all the things, it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. I won't use any of those words online because we don't want to get canceled
That's
or
good.
anything
That's
like
good.
that. But no, that's where the entrepreneur journey started, and then it carried on. I was also on that cusp of, go to college, so I had to go to college. I wound up going to college. I was watching automatic sprinklers automatically water the lawn. That was my deal in college that I had to do, because they weren't jobs, because they didn't pay you at that time. It was the way things worked back then was completely different. If you were on the team, these were just things you had to do. Some kids had to do other things. I didn't want to pick up trash after the ball game, so I chose to watch automatic sprinklers sprinkle the lawn. And I know you're listening to that going like, you're watching automatic sprinklers. Yes, that's what I did. And so this fella named Bobby Latito, he was, I think you probably read about him in my, so you're going to hear the story, because that was a story in my mentors that you had to ask. He goes, Ron, he goes, go over to this closet, and he goes, and open the door. And I go over to that closet and I open the door, and we got radios, because it's a campus. And I go, Bobby, this is Big Al's janitorial closet. And the first thing I see when you open the door is it says, if you touch any effing thing, I'll kill you. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what are you doing to me, Bobby? He says, just shut up about that. He goes, grab the bucket, get that mop head, and there's a squeegee and a pole in there. He says, meet me up at the student union. And I did. We get in this golf cart. We left campus, which we're not supposed to do, right, in the golf cart. We left campus in the golf cart. We proceeded to wash these storefront sidewalks in this little shopping center. And we get going, and Bobby goes, hey, go by the gift shop. I said, we're not going to wash the gift shop. He said, just shut up and go by the gift shop. And I'm doing my first mopping job on windows that I had ever done, And so we get further down the shopping center. So you know what it is down the shopping center. We're about 85, 90, 100 feet away from the gift store. And this woman comes out of the gift store going, hey, and the next thing you know, I turn around, Bobby's gone. You know what I mean? He's gone, man. And I go, and I can't find him nowhere. And so the lady comes down to the thing. She says, hey, you missed my suite. Weren't you going to do my windows? I said, yeah, man, we'll get your windows. He says, and I want it done every 2 weeks. You be back here, and you better get it done every 2 weeks. And I said, man, we'll take care of you. Don't worry. I just got to find out. I got to find out where my partner went, and we'll be right down there to get this taken care of. Well, it's the funniest story, because I was doing a shoe store, and I couldn't squeegee a window, but I had already mopped the thing. So that was now I'm doing my first time squeegeeing the window. The old man comes out and he says, "Hey, kid," he says, "I don't know where your partner went." He says, "Just leave the windows alone. It's okay. It looks good. You don't gotta, you don't have to wet them down again for the 27th time." He goes, "You're gonna have enough water out here. I'm not gonna have customers come into my store because I had really I'm trying to get these windows right, and here I am practicing on this guy's window." So I get all my stuff. I run back over to the campus. I'm in the golf cart now. I'm driving the golf cart illegally off campus. And I drive up to the student union. I'm like, "Bobby, what's going on, man? What happened?" He goes, "What happened, man? Did that woman call the police?" I said, "Call the police?" I said, "She wants us to be there every 2 weeks." I go, "What's going on, Bobby?" He goes, "You don't know what we were doing, man?" I said, "We were washing windows, Bobby. That's what we were doing." And he goes, "No, man." He goes, "We were hustling, man." He goes, "I was just going in there and collecting money. We're not the regular window washer." He goes, and he hands me my $260. Okay, like that's my hat. He hands it to me, and he was charging like $35 a pop for just the exterior window. Something even now you charge somebody like $20 for, right? He's charging $35 a pop. And
that's funny, man.
And well, there was two things that I learned about this. There was two things I learned. The shoe store wound up becoming my regular maintenance account, okay? Because I stopped hustling. I went back and I figured out how to get the $40 from the gift store, which was my second job. The shoe store was my first one, because when I showed up after I'd done enough practice on some other window, I cleaned the guy's shoe store window for free. He refused to not pay me and said, "Hey, I need you over here every 2 weeks. When Susan at the gift store, once her window's done, you can just do mine then." And those were my first two maintenance accounts that I ever had. And then the rest is history. From the windows came the sidewalks, and that came shortly after that. When I was done with college, I had already begun engaging in washing of sidewalks. And then
What year was that?
I did stupid stuff, 84. And then I did stupid stuff, like I thought I was gonna be a lighting maintenance guy, a landscape guy, and I did all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what got me into washing is my first shopping center that I had ever washed was $1,200 a month, and I was doing the landscaping for I think $950 with 5 guys once a week. Right. And I'm going, wait a minute, man, I'm here one day a month with one guy, and I'm here 5 times a month with 5 guys. I'm like, the math here just doesn't work. And that's when I just, as everybody does, and nobody realizes this, once you have a niche in what you do, and I will share this with people, that you can do other things, but you got to run them as different divisions. And so I realized that sidewalk cleaning was what I wanted to do, and then my focus was nothing but on sidewalks, and that's all I wanted to get. That's all I wanted to do. It was very simple. Back, a lot of the old guys watching this, even Carlos would testify. They would get on PWI. You can't wash sidewalks and make a living. No one's gonna pay you to wash sidewalks every other week. Are you kidding me? No way. And no one ever thinks about this. John Tornabetti and I talk about it all the time. Think about the situation. If you're a kitchen exhaust guy, they've got sidewalks. If you're a fleet guy, they've got sidewalks. What doesn't have sidewalks to wash? What? Everything. Sidewalks are everywhere, aren't they?
So how did that? Because there's no way you started a pressure washing company and said, "I'm only going to do sidewalks." Or did you have that?
No, I learned my lessons. Absolutely.
How long did that take?
10 years.
Yeah. The pain of you. So you get to the point where you start cutting costs and expenses and trying to become more profitable and efficient. And I guess that led to you saying, "We're just going to do sidewalks."
The aha moment was that me not wanting to be a landscaper anymore.
Yeah.
I ain't mowing no lawns for $20 a pop when I can wash a driveway for $350.
Yeah.
In 20 minutes? 20 minutes, or I can be there for 45 minutes for $20. I mean, it's pretty simple math.
So fast forward to building a small empire, especially for that time of in the home service industry.
Can you imagine what took me 20 years to get 23 trucks now takes a guy
The right guy.
3 years? 3
Well,
years now. Oh,
that's still less than 1% of the population.
Yeah, but it didn't happen prior to that. It was
it did not happen. If you had $1 million business back in the early 2000s, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And you were doing it in what, like the mid 90s?
I'd say not believe it or not, 97, 96, really good years. But I carried that same, pretty much that same growth, very small growth from that time period, from 96 to 2008. We weren't doing a whole lot more. But what the one adjustment that got me there faster, and I always tell this story too, is that once we decided that we weren't going to try to service 2,000 people, and we found 78 people in the Phoenix metro area in 1996, 97, that we wanted to do business with. And we stopped focusing on anything, and we focused on them. And between that book, that's when the book shot. It just went fivefold. Whatever number we had been doing then. Actually, no. Retail is the sweet spot. Retail has to be done frequently.
Oh yeah, high traffic.
Yeah, and then you know a little bit about CAM, and I don't know if you want me to go into that, but that's the whole secret, the whole thing.
CAM.
Common area maintenance. You're a real estate agent, man. You don't do commercial real estate though. Triple net leases.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Triple net leases means that the billionaire doesn't pay for his own anything, right? The tenants do. Above and beyond, rents.
Oh, you're talking about CAM fees.
Yes.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. I thought you were talking about
who pays that? People don't understand that. The guy that owns the property doesn't pay for it, but nobody gets that.
Right.
And by the way, I have never talked about this on a podcast before.
We'll dive in.
Go
in a little bit deeper.
Well, I just dove in. It's
like an HOA, right? The money is budgeted.
The money is the HOAs in a nonprofit corporation. This is the same thing, but except now it's a different scenario, because if I own a building, Trevor, and somebody else is paying for all the maintenance, I'm going to make sure the maintenance is being done right. I'm going to paint the building. I'm going to re-roof the building. I'm going to make sure I got new air conditioning units, because it ain't coming out of my pocket. And nobody believes that or understands that until they really do their research. Oh, right. And it's a 5-year reserve. So what does that mean? Economy can't affect it. Well, if they don't spend it, they'll lose it, and they'll also have to pay taxes on it, because most of those people don't realize are in a non-profit corporation. So they don't have to pay taxes, so it's tax-exempt money.
Okay.
Wow. I know, man. This is over everybody's head, except there'll be a few guys that understand. Few guys.
Yeah.
And that's a huge gold nugget, but that ain't the biggest one, because the biggest one is when I was researching early on what all these $1 million and now they're $1 billion companies do, is many of them belonged to 20 of their customers associations or more. 20 or more. Not one, not two, 20.
What kind of associations? What do you mean?
They're customer associations. So anything that had to do with the customer, Brokers for Kids, BOMA, CAI, any of those organizations. And believe me, you say you don't have a BOMA chapter, I guarantee you've got a real estate organization in your world. It may not be a big affiliate, but they have a small networking. And if they don't, you better start one.
Yeah, let me add it to my list.
Yeah, well, I think that's an important one. I'll tell you, the guys out here that are doing real estate they own all these top Facebook groups, the community groups. They run them all.
Yeah.
They run them all.
Yeah. So fast forward to the sale? Because I know you sold it, but then you had some parts still. You were still tied to it somehow. And
Oh
this
gosh,
is called.
so I've never told this. I sold this 3 times. I sold the fleet washing in '96. I sold off
Give us some numbers.
I sold off the retail. I told you I'm not doing any numbers, man, because I said nobody buys into numbers. In 2004, I sold off the division as far as it was a grocery store division. I dealt with just grocery stores. And then there was another, and when I sold these divisions, they weren't that these divisions were good. These were divisions I didn't want to deal with. When I said goodbye to the fleet washing, I had that aha moment that I only want to start washing sidewalks. Okay. And that's where the money's at, because we'll go back to that number again. I'm going to wash tractor trailer rigs for $6.50 a pop, and I got to wash 100 of them a day with 3 guys, or I can go do one shopping center with 1 guy for $1,200. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yep.
so you start getting smarter as you get a little wiser when you've owned a business, and you got mentors, right? I mean, that's what that's about. And you say, what are you going to do? Because I tell you, you read the thing. My number one mentors were my parents. 2 things my father told me: always increase your prices every year. And second, he said, would you work for you? Because I think you've heard that story. I'm horrible to work for, horrible. And until I had hired a team to do that, that team was part of my mentorship. I hired the right people to take care of that part of the business. That's when I went. This is another story. I went out of town. I think I'd left with my older kids for 3 or 4 months. And when I came back, my team sat me down.
Said, don't come back.
That's what they said. That's what they told me. You're exactly right. You figured it out. They said, hey, Ron, we increased the numbers. We're doing better. Could you please stay out of our way? We're all making more money.
That's what it's all about right there. Yeah. So this is mine. I just updated this week. And problem is, I'm trying to get rid of that one. I've got my name on too many of these.
But you know how many people don't have an organizational chart that we're working with right now?
Oh yeah.
99.99%. And it's one of the first things that I try to teach people is you got to put the organizational chart together. And then here's the number one mistake that people make. People will they'll try to hire themselves at first. And the first hire, okay, is, well, since virtual AI's around, this may change, but the first hire is still your assistant. It's not another driver in the truck. It's your assistant, okay? We're going to assume you've already trained somebody and you're off the wand. The first person you get, or even if you're not off the wand, is an assistant, so you can get off the wand.
Yeah. So when you had me come to the Atlanta Young Guns thing, I spoke in front of those guys, and my topic was the 5 first things you need to do or something to scale. I don't remember what it was, but the very first thing was create an organizational chart. It's shocking to me how many people I meet that have been in business for 5, 10, 15 years that don't have a simple organizational chart. How do you even set a target? How do you know what your goal is to remove yourself as the sales manager or to replace yourself as the VP of marketing or whatever it is, like the thing you don't like doing? How do you even, if you don't define it, how do you find somebody to fill that role for you? It's just not logical. So that's like step 1, in my opinion.
Yeah. You have to, even if it's just you right now and the guy in the truck.
Yeah, and you know what I do?
Because Ron Musgraves told you the next person is your assistant, nobody else. That's the next person on that chart. Period.
Yeah, so something else, just if you're listening and you don't have an organizational chart yet, create an organizational chart. ChatGPT can help you write the descriptions for it. And then at the bottom, I want you to date it and sign it if that's your job. It gives you ownership over that position, right? And do the same thing for your techs. If you have a field tech, make him sign and date the bottom of that form, taking accountability for his job. Lead tech, same thing. I don't care if you hold all of those positions. Sign and date every single one of them yourself, and it'll open your eyes to exactly what you're committing to, and give you a new vision, new goals,
So
and new targets.
you have you ever heard of my infraction document?
Probably, I don't know.
We put what they did on a piece of paper,
Oh
right?
yeah,
It's a
sure.
letter. We what they did. They have to rewrite it in their own handwriting. They don't have to
Oh.
write it 200 times. They don't have to write it 200 times. They just have to rewrite it in their own handwriting and then sign the document. Okay.
Oh
If they
my
do
gosh.
if they do that 3 times, they're out.
You really are a horrible boss.
Again,
See,
3
you can't
times
do
they're
that
out.
anymore.
3
Gen Z
times they're
won't
out.
allow it.
I know, man. I know. It's crazy.
All right,
Where's my foosball table? I want to play foosball.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. So let's talk about my favorite thing about you, which is NCE. I think you had to be the first guy to bring trade shows and roundtables and industry events to the forefront. You specifically did for me. I mean, I didn't even know this world existed.
I wasn't. I can't take that. As far as I know, the guy who originally organized that stuff, there was a couple of them. It's Roy Chappell, Larry Hinckley, Robert Hindleiter, Phil Ackland. Those guys all started. Those guys all started doing that. Some of those guys have passed away. Those guys all started doing that in the 90s. I think I probably brought it a little bit more grassroots, but I won't even take that fully. Everett Abrams and myself probably started that grassroots movement. When you came on the train, NCE had fired up, and the reason NCE had fired up is because I got tired of seeing these orgs would rise and fall like it was nobody's business. I mean, they'd be there going gung-ho one year, and then the next year you'd call up, this number has been disconnected, and we're no longer in service. And then
I know
they were
something
gone.
about that.
And then they were gone. So I said, the problem is there's no foundation, there's no fundamental system. We don't have any, and here to this day, we still don't have fundamentals. We don't have any we don't have a real national organization standing behind standards. Okay. Now there's a lot of guys at the PWNA that might catch this and they're pissed off at me.
You're used to that.
It's their job. It was our job when we were with the UMCC. We tried, we failed. It didn't happen. But people don't realize that we need those things. I mean, we need those things if we're ever going to want the world, and I mean the customers, the end users, to ever look at us like they do plumbers, electricians, and any other professional trade in the industry. We have to have those, because you can't have Billy and Bob fighting over what method is the correct method, and then the homeowners completely confused and trying to go out there. And what do they hit? They find some guy's video. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make fun of Southern guys, but they find some slow Southern guy talking, well, this is how we do it down here in Alabama. And, and I'm sorry. That's
you're not. No, you're not.
That's not what our industry should be as a representation of, is some YouTube guru that's out there that's trying to tell Mrs. McGullicuddy how her roof is supposed to be clean. Now, he could be right, but we all know that everybody festers in the right way to do it. Here's my answer to that. There's always more than one way to skin a cat, right? And if your results meet the standards of clean at the end of it, I don't care how you got there, as long as you actually have a clean substrate that you didn't damage. Okay?
Yeah, that brings up a valid point that comes up a lot in the industry, specifically on Facebook pages and stuff. People say, hey, how do I start? You go Google this or YouTube it, and you're going to see 2,000 videos of how to start a pressure washing company, right? But the whole sales pitch is you got to buy this $30,000+ rig. It's just not true. I mean, you could go out and buy $1,000 machine at Home Depot, and you could be you can clean, and the end job, the result, like you said, would be just as good. It's just, will you be as efficient? That's what really comes up.
Yeah. No doubt.
So back in the day, you were doing roundtables, and for people that don't know what a roundtable is, it was the coolest thing ever, man. It was so much better than a trade show to me. You're sitting around, look at My uncle. I gotta cut that in there. Some Southern guy gonna whoop your Yankee butt. That's my Yankee uncle, by the way. He's funny. We should call him in just to talk to him. He'll
That's
have you
funny.
rolling. But I don't remember. Oh yeah, round tables. Yeah, so these round tables, man, you're sitting around the table with local guys, right? It always seemed to be like semi-local, and you're having hard conversations, and most of them are full of crap. Most of them are lying, but you know that going into it. It was just a fun experience. I kind of wish we could bring those back.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something similar to that, but I'm adding on some other stuff. I mean, you don't want me to get into what I'm doing in the future, do you? I mean,
So before we jumped on this call, I said, "No, Ron. All we ever
all
talk
right.
about is what you're working on right now. I want to know about the old Ron." But yeah, let's talk about it. Tell me what you're working on.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and dive into it. I am going to. I'm supposed to be in Reno for commercial sales. I'll be in Southern California here within the next month and a half. We'll have some dates for that. But Reno on the 24th and 25th. I'll wind up somewhere in Atlanta. I'll be doing 2 stops in Florida, and hopefully one in New Jersey with somebody that's going to shock you. A guy, I can't say his name yet, but
I already know.
he's got a $25 million business. Oh, I think you got the wrong guy.
Yeah, maybe. I
Yeah,
definitely
it's a
do after that statement.
$25 million business, and I'm not looking to do necessarily with guys that are big. I hope Connor Eubanks can do the Southern California with me. He's a $12 million business. I want to do. I don't want to scare guys though, because here's what I feel like I do, and I think maybe you can concur on this. I can take a $0 business and I can go in 18 months and I can give them recurring revenue of $300,000 a year. And I can do that in 18 months. That's why, and I know you're a numbers and systems guy, and that's great. I believe it or not, I'm more numbers and systems than you even understand. But I'm not a guy about, I've never been about let's track our stuff. I have programs that work. I don't need to track them. I know what they're going to bring in, and I know that they work, and I know what they're going to bring in. All these guys out there, and I was refreshed because there's some gurus out there, and I'm going, hey, we don't need to track that. We're going to give you stuff that's going to work. And I'm so refreshed when I see that, because now I know that guys are out there selling something that's going to work. I'm not saying you don't need to track it. Don't get me wrong on this, but like, we don't need to focus. We don't need to spend so much time on tracking stuff if you do have methods that work. Okay.
Yeah.
If methods stop working, you got to find out what you did wrong, because you were told a blueprint and you didn't follow the blueprint. And that's why they're not working. And I always try to tell people that, because people will go, oh, Ron, you told me to go do demos. I did demos and I didn't sell anything. Did you call anybody? No. Well, did you just expect them to materially find the demo on their own? I mean, they were going to stumble over it and trip on it? I go, you got to put these things in front of people. These are all just things that are part of mastery of sales. I don't believe that people understand what the definition of mastery of sales is. Purely mastery of sales is basically reducing the amount of contact time before you close somebody. And that means that when you're good at it, you can take it to 1 visit or 2 visits. Okay. The world says you got to make 8 visits. Okay. Believe me, if you're good at what you do, you can do it in 1 or 2 visits. Now, am I telling you that everything, I could teach you this and you're going to close everybody like that? No, you're not. Some people are going to take 25 visits, right, Trevor? I mean, that's just how it is. And usually things that are harder to come by, it's an old cliche, are usually longer lasting and more rewarding. Stuff that comes easy, we know that, goes easy. And I always try to tell guys that. Because when somebody buys too quickly, aren't you always a little worried when somebody buys too quickly?
For sure.
Yeah.
They say sales solves all problems. And I have to agree. Like, I get it. Obviously, I'm a KPIs and metrics person. I review our numbers religiously. But if I had a sales guy out there bringing in a couple extra million a year, I probably wouldn't track my KPIs quite so closely, So
You gotta have a system built. Salespeople aren't going to build a system. Okay, they got to be outside salespeople, not inside. Chasing the office girls around, or wait, the AI person. Okay, and you got to have a system, obviously, that works. Okay, it has to work. And most people think you need more salespeople than you think you need. Believe it or not, in the commercial world, maybe not in the residential, because in the residential, you got to touch so many more people. In the commercial industry, you can pick 10 clients, 10, and I can guarantee you pick those 10 clients and that salesperson visits those people over and over again, you'll get to that $300,000 number annually.
Let's talk about that. Your Ron Musgraves has to open a new location tomorrow. What does he do? And you can't move there.
I hired that person and put him on what I call the program. And you're right, we don't have a pressure washer there. We don't have anything there yet. We don't need one.
So how does that work? Give me some grassroots.
We're gonna
day one. What does he do day one?
We have to identify those 10 people he's gonna go after.
Create that A list.
And we have to identify the next 100 in line that are gonna be in the pipeline after that. Because everybody is going to be on a visit of importance. Okay, that's how you do it. And you gotta. And I'm sorry, we can sit there. All these guys. I want to have AI. I want to have funnel coming in where these things are coming in. That doesn't work in the commercial world. It does not work, and it's not going to work for a long time. And that's why I think my thing's going to become more and more important as time goes, because our industry predominantly are all these residential house washing guys. They all start there. When they go broke, they call me up and say, Ron, I don't have any money, but can you help me now? And at that point, it's tough because, we're back to that old cliches again. It takes money to make money. And if you'd have blew that 50,000 going after commercial people, you would have that $300,000 residual income coming in that you could also funnel a percentage of that money back to new business,
right.
And then the thing perpetuates itself and you build it over and over again. And if you pay a salesperson on commission, that's a fantasy. They have to be vested into the business, and they have to get a percent. They have to be in the business. And they have to be in the business profitable. I always tell guys, hey, you give me 10%, I'll sell jobs all day long, right? But I'm not going to care what I'm selling them at, right? Because you got to give me my 10%. So I could care less if you're.
So what are you selling? A base salary?
Well, you got to have a base salary, and then you got to have invested. They've got to be. They got to be paid on performance on top of that, because nowadays you want somebody to have unlimited capability on the amount of money that they can make.
Sure, right.
And the old thought was we're going to pay a guy $150,000, and we all know when we give a person a weight. We talked about this a few weeks ago. When you give a person a raise, all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, I'm on Easy Street. I'll sit back and relax, and I don't have to do anything anymore, man. I'm making more money now." You always have to keep them vested into the business and wanting more. And when they get more, you have to. And it was real simple. On any residual account, salespeople got 3% for as long as the account ran.
Even if they didn't work there anymore?
6 months afterwards, they can draw that residual.
That's pretty good. That's pretty generous.
Trust me. You don't know how many came back after 6 months. And some people think that's a bad thing. No, if that guy was that good, I wanted him back.
All right, let me ask you about the A list again. Let's go back to that. Does Ron Musgraves create this A list doing simple research?
No, you got to do your simple research in your area and whatever your niche.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Let's talk about parking garages, right? Because this parking garage, people don't realize that I've done as many parking garages as I've done. Okay, and I'm not going to say it, John, but I mean, obviously he learned how to do parking garages off of PWI. I mean, if you go back down there and look, John got a ton of that information, started cleaning parking garages off it. I never talked about parking garages because parking garages didn't become a frequent washer until the last decade. And the reason why they became frequently washed, we've seen these garages collapsing, right? The structures are collapsing and hurting people. They always have now they have these inspections because they don't want these things crushing down on anybody and hurting them. So the problem with it now, these restoration companies are selling big on, hey man, you got to get this oil and this grease and this dirt up. This is part of keeping the garage safe, keeping it clean, and knowing that you don't have anything in here that's corroding the steel that's underneath the concrete. And so now the parking garage things become a big thing now, and people are doing these things more frequently. When I was in the business, they would do a parking garage once every 6 years, and it was a nightmare. You've seen the sludge walls, right? Remember Pat Clark's first one? He's got this sludge wall. He doesn't even know what to do with it because he's cleaning so much stuff up in there. He didn't realize all it was rubber. That's all it was at the end of the day. It wasn't oil. It was rubber. And they don't do that anymore. They don't let garages get that bad because they know that's a poor environmental impact and safety. It's a bad thing. But I would go after the parking garages by, one, joining these associations in your area that deal with parking garages. I would join the national associations. And anybody knows right now, the largest exchange, it was $80 billion or something they just gave for standard parking, and 2 parking garage companies merged together. And stay tuned because we're going to be doing some parking garage cleaning actually in the association's garages. Because guess what they're looking for, Trevor? Contractors around the country. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, man. So what else makes the A list? You got parking garage organizations and
retail makes the A list. I mean, and then anything, community management.
Well, you said you have 10 people.
Community management.
Retail's huge.
Yeah, but you'll find out that in my big city, you have to realize this. When I said there were 78 people, there were still 5 million people in that city back then. There's 8 million now. I bet you there's still not 121 players that I want to deal with in a city of 8 million. So it's not very tough. I mean, Chris is going to hate me saying this. Little Rock, Arkansas. How hard do you think it was to identify his market and why he's doing 3.5 million with 15 trucks? Because Little Rock, Arkansas, everybody knows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So when he went to go find his list, he might have found out that Becky from high school was one of his targets on that top list. Who knows? Or his wife knows Becky and can give the introduction. Because I'm going to have that salesperson go in and join all those associations. I'm going to call all my customers and say, do you know anybody in that new region that you can introduce me to? In other words, I'm asking them for a referral, and they're going to introduce them, and I'm going to introduce them to my salesperson that's going to start working with them. Because remember, the trust meter is what it's all about, right?
Sure.
And if you're introduced to somebody, what happens to the trust meter?
Yeah, skyrocket.
Trust meter it goes up. Don't skyrocket, but it definitely goes up to a 7.
All right, well, let's look at Jay.
Meet somebody, it's a 3, right?
Let's look at Jay's question. He says, "What's the pay structure for your salespeople?" We already know you said 3% residual, so any reoccurring contract they get 3% for that, up to 6 months after leaving the company, which is.
And if they sell a one and done, they can take 10%.
One and done, 10%. That's an interesting model, and that is on top of a salary.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that salary.
Man, you don't want to talk about that with me, man. You just don't. Nobody will believe the numbers, man. Nobody. They just won't believe. Or
30 grand?
Or they'll be just trying to apply for that. 30 grand for that would be like somebody that would sweep up the shop.
So you're all right. 60 grand. This
You're
is
close.
salary plus
You're
commission.
close. You're close. Yeah.
Salary plus
I
commission. So
don't
these guys.
care.
All right. So what are they ending at? Are they ending at
Do you think
250K a year?
do you think that Tommy Mello cares if he's got a technician that's making $500,000? If
Tommy's
the
got $1 million techs.
if the tech
Are you saying you had $1 million
if
techs?
the technician made $500,000, how much money did you make?
But come on, let's talk
No,
numbers.
you're not thinking about this. Okay, Trevor, let's enlighten you today about your entire model.
There he is.
And how
There he
you're
is.
and how you're gonna change it. So if you got a guy, and they're not easy to find, he has unlimited ability to make money. You can either train him to be your competitor, or you can train him to be your partner.
I agree with that.
That's where it's at. It's not a limit. There's
All right,
no
so
limit.
let's call it 50K salary. We got to pick a number. 50K salary at a $500,000 in sales. That's
And every year
another
I just told you,
50K.
and every year I just told you they can put $300,000 more on the book.
All right, so
which is a truck a year. And guess what? They'll put 2 trucks a year on the book once they get rolling. They won't even put, so that's 600,000. They'll increase 600,000.
And
Why am I going to limit this guy? He's going to leave me if I do.
And practically what his day looks like is what? Just visiting those top 10 and then maybe B-list occasionally?
His day is going to be filling this thing up at those customers that he's visiting.
What is
and
that?
taking them notepads, sticky notes. Sticky notes. There's no notepads in here right now.
Oh, so you drop that thing off, fill it up for them.
Well, this is there. This is there already. This is there. It's already in there.
I see it now.
It's on their desk. He's going to drop off more Post-it notes to them. He's going to drop off notepads. Oh, and you've heard it. He's going to take them a bag, because we don't use jars anymore, of their favorite whatever it is. Whatever it is. It could be cheesecake. Who knows?
How often? Once a month?
How often? Are you really asking that question?
Come on, man. We got to know.
How hot is the customer?
Okay.
Right? That's how often they'll visit them.
So often
and the number
they
one
say,
mistake
stop coming
is,
to see me.
And the number one mistake is when people call me all the time, Ron, I did the proposals. When should I go back and see them? When did they say you should come back and see them? Didn't you ask that question? Don't ask me how often you should go back. Did you ask them? Believe me, when you start bringing their candy in, when you start doing these things, when you bring the Post-its in and they pull one of those out and there's a code on there, they want a Starbucks, all they do is type that code in online and Starbucks comes to their door. Guess what? They're looking for you to come all the time. What are we doing, Trevor? We're building relationships.
Tell me about that Starbucks code.
We're not bribing them. We're building relationships with them. So I was one time, and this is a true story, I was at this place called Retail Business Incorporated, RBI, big company. I'm sitting in the foyer area waiting to see a contact. My salespeople, by accident, are seen in the parking lots. Okay? And the woman gets on the PA system and announces to shut your doors. A sales crew is coming in. And if you don't want to be here, if they ask for you, we need to shut the door. You shut your doors. And everybody in the office would shut their bam, 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 bam. And they're slamming their doors. And I knew at that time I had to change something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now they went back into a similar business like that. And the receptionist is excited. And she's telling everybody instead of the mic now, hey, man, Pro Power Wash is here. Who's going to win their weekly deal or their monthly deal? Because if you've seen my videos, we would give away iPads. So maybe when we were coming through the door, they were going to win an iPad. You understand?
Yeah. So
And
give us the
so,
logistics
and
on
so
that.
all of a sudden, as it's just, there's no one customer that's going to be the same. You're going to visit some people as often as you need to, and then some are going to be cold. Here's a cold one. Hey, when should I come back and see you, Trevor? And you say, don't call me, I'll call you. Well, that person's what? Cold. That just told you they're cold. If they go, hey, when should I come back and see you? Say, well, we're going to be deciding our budgets in September, about September 15th. Okay, I'll come back and visit you, about 15 days. September 1st, we'll come back and see you again to make sure you don't have any questions that you need. So then you would go back on September 1st. And here we go. Do what you say you're going to do.
Yes. Yes. That's the big one.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because this is where a lot of people mess up. This is where I've messed up. Consistently messed up, and I'm a systems person, but I'm not a systems and salesperson combined. How do you get to the point where your sales training is automated? Because I know you know how to teach people to do sales, but if you had to start a company over from the ground, you can't spend 2 months with this guy and then another 2 months with this guy. How do you automate and systemize that?
Hang on 1 second. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. 1 second.
Should we take bets on what he's going to get? Anybody got a guess? Put it in the comments. What do you think? What is Ron Musgraves going to get? Or is he just going to take a leak?
So it's kind of funny that you mentioned this. Like people when they see this coming out, they'll be like, oh my gosh, he set this up for Ron Musgraves to sell. First of all, I don't sell anything. But here's the deal. So when I made my deal back in 2008,
60s. Oh.
yeah, no, I had a time period where I couldn't, these training discs, and people don't even know what these things are because they're discs. And it's funny because all that training's on discs. It's all old. What's up? That's my daughter.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's right there. Veronica.
Oh, just kidding.
No, Veronica.
Hey, Veronica.
So she knew what I was going to get. And we put so much time and effort into those DVDs and that training. And you wouldn't even believe, people wouldn't even understand what my first video production cost me almost $30,000 to make. You know, but the funny story, hope Michael's not listening to this, but my head guy in 1996, when we started putting this together, he calls me up. I was at a travel ball game at the time, and he goes, hey Ron, he goes, I got it. He goes, I found it. I go, what'd you find? He says, I found the training videos. And I go, that's awesome. We'll talk about it on Tuesday when I get back, because I was gone on a weekend. I get back and he goes, again, he's all excited. I found it, man. He says, I watched them all weekend. He goes, we can plug these tapes in, and he goes, we can tell everybody to do what you're not supposed to do here. You know, like, don't do this, because he goes, that's how bad the training videos were, right?
Oh no.
And so it was all the things in the video of, like, the guy was pulled in at the front of the bank drive-through. He was at the Walmart location, and he was on one side of it, and the water was on the other side. So he had the garden hose drug across the door while they were open. You know, just all the boneheaded stuff that you don't do. And he goes, I go, no, I go, Tim, no, we can't do that. We have to do the right videos. But yeah, as far as the teaching of it, I give this stuff away for free. And why you think I only give and very vague of what I do, I don't work with people to the extent of giving them the entire program until they've jumped through some of the hoops. Most people can't jump through the first hoops. The first hoops are actually to go out and do 10 unsolicited proposals. Go do 10 or 15 demos. They don't understand why the demos are important. and why they're needed. Okay.
Okay, explain that because my audience is not just pressure washing. Tell us about the
Okay,
demo.
so if you do a demo, right? We talked about sales mastery, and I'm sitting there with a GM of a restaurant, right? And they're sitting right there. I mean, they're right there watching the live demo, and they see their place is filthy. Do they just go, "Okay, see you later, have a good day"?
So
What
Ron
happens?
literally means
They
he's going to
buy.
have the pressure washing
They
surface cleaner out
they
there
buy
and clean the concrete right in front
right
of
in
them.
front of the guy. They buy. They say, "Hey, when can you get to me and take care of this for me? I
So
didn't realize I had this huge problem."
would you have a CSR set up that appointment, or is that the sales guy's job to get a hold of these GMs and say, "I'll be there on Tuesday at
Oh
10 p.m.
God!
before you open"?
At the time, we had we had a sales staff of 8, and we had 2 guys measuring the entire city.
Just going around measuring.
Yeah, Leilani was one of them. She measured Tucson all by herself. It took her 2 years.
All right. Let's talk about that. So you would literally pick a destination, or you'd have somebody whose job was to go to restaurants, measure the concrete, schedule a demo.
We wouldn't measure the concrete on restaurants, right? You know, there's a formula for retail. You'd had to measure, but now you don't have to measure. We just use AI.
Yeah, Google Earth or AI. So you go to the GM and you say, "I have a proposal for you to clean your sidewalks." Are they literally walking up with it in their hand?
Have you never listened to one of my YouTube calls, man, where I get the GM to get you the appointment?
No, but I do remember sitting at an Outback Steakhouse and you basically said, "Hey, I'm Ron Musgraves. Where's the general manager?" We're sitting at a long table. It might have been a Longhorn Steakhouse. I don't know.
And is that the one that Button sold?
Yeah, well, you stood up and you said, "This place is disgusting," and then you yelled across the restaurant to the giant table of 30 contractors and said, "Which one of you is from here?" And somebody was like, "Oh, I'm from here," and you were like, "Talk to him, get this place cleaned up," and everybody was like, "What just happened?"
Well, it's dirty, man. How could you have a dirty restaurant? No, does any manager of a restaurant want a dirty restaurant? Think about that.
Probably because they're underpaid, underappreciated, and don't give a damn.
No, they don't want it. They do not.
All right, so walk me through it. Quit trying to dodge the question. So you have a sales guy.
Sales mastery. I could walk up without the general manager because I've done this before. Okay. I did this before in Iowa. Walked in the store, said, "Hey, you got a couple minutes." I said, "I need to talk to you outside." I walked out the door. The guy didn't walk out behind me. I went out to the crowd of guys that were standing there, and they go, "Well, he didn't come out." I said, "Give it a minute. He will." They will. They will follow you out that door. It might take them a few minutes, but they'll eventually come out the door, especially when they see you out there with a truck, a trailer, and a contraption on their sidewalk. And if it's blowing steam up, they're going to be out there, going to come out there and go, "Hey, what's going on?"
So your daughter's giving me the answer, but you won't. So she would cold call and set up 15 demos with the GM. So then the guy with the sales guy would take it.
But you don't need to. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
When I'm talking efficiency.
When
I'm talking about efficiency.
When you're really because there's no efficiency. You don't need to be efficiency. Efficiency is to demographically take an area, and you've got it in your town. Whether even in your small town, there's an area I know that's got 30 restaurants in it. Am I wrong?
No, not wrong.
Yeah. Go to that 30 restaurants and start doing demos on sidewalks and get the pre-demo. And if they won't watch you, now you've got media. If they won't watch it on their phone while you're standing inside with them, because you still want to drag them outside to do the live demo, at least they're going to see the one you got on your iPad or your phone. Because you're going to videotape the demo right there when you do it. And they're going to know what's going on. And if they don't look at it, if they look at your phone and then they don't want to come out, at the minute you leave, guess what they do? They walk outside and look at it. What's the next thing they do? "Hey, Trevor, can you come back? I need to talk to you."
So this sales guy has to have equipment.
Yes. We had demo units. Demo units were very tiny, very small. They were hot.
Oh, you know what? I meant to bring this up earlier. I always thought this was really cool about how you operated your business back in the day. Everybody was so focused on having the coolest badass rigs, and what that looked like. Man, you were running around with I don't want to say beat up trucks, but your trailers certainly were beat up, but they were immaculately maintained, and they did the job, and they all looked exactly the same, and they were cheap. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. What kind of machines were you running? I can't remember.
Landas.
Yeah,
They
that's
weren't
right.
cheap, but they looked cheap.
Well, the setup, the overall
When
cost of that
but when
setup was
but
significantly
when
less than Paul
but when
Cassandra's
people
setup.
would run into one of my trailers because it had a couple of my screwed up 1/4-inch diamond plates too much. You could do it with 1/8 of an inch, but some of them had 1/4-inch diamond plate, and that was overkill on my part. But we got tired of rebuilding trailers, so we went to marine grade non-grindable paint. That's why they were yellow, and we were tired of people hitting them, so we made them all yellow. After they turned yellow, believe it or not, in 20 years we only had one person hit the thing. And it was I don't want to get women pissed off, but it was a mom, and she totaled her car.
Jeez.
The trailer
Yes.
was fine. The trailer was fine.
So often, too often, business owners start out with the cool factor first, right? I want to look the part, fake the part, look really cool doing the thing, and then they go later down the road and build the sales. I can speak from personal experience. That's what I'm doing right now. I hate to admit it, but you built the system around the sales first. Sales first, get the equipment later. And I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Here's the deal: when Veronica would call and get an appointment, if we were next door, we were in that group of 75 restaurants. You don't think we were gonna ask Billy, who was managing the Chuck E. Cheese, if he knew Johnny over at the Chili's, especially if we sold him? Because all those GMs know each other. So we'd say, "Oh, we got yours, Johnny. Yeah, guess what? We'll give you a free building wash. Do you know Jim over at the Chili's? Hey, can you get him on service?" They would be no more than dialing their phone with the guy's personal number. And at this time, you couldn't get the cell phones that easily. He would dial the guy up and say, "Hey, man, I got this guy here. Oh, my God, that guy? He's been leaving those damn things on my back door for 2 years. Are you kidding me? Okay, send him over. We'll take a look at it." Because while the salesman was stopped while he was running that little route, he was tagging things on the back of the doors. You know what he was tagging on the back of the door? You'd probably laugh. "We were here" cards. We weren't there to perform a service, but he was showing them that we had a "We were here" card, so that when we did our service, boom. Now on the other side of the "We were here" card was the sales side. But they always picked the card off the door and they didn't throw it away because it said "We were here." That's all it said on that side. Pretty clever, huh?
Yep. I probably heard this stuff 15 years ago.
Did you?
Probably.
And you forgot it? You're not that old. You're not that old yet.
Get out of here. Dude, I've been listening to you for 20 years. 2009.
Uh-oh. They're going to label you as a Ron lover now. You're in trouble.
I'm you know what,
you won't be part of the cool kids anymore.
Michael Jordan said it best. Republicans buy sneakers too. I don't choose sides.
It's that simple. When you've heard me tell you the thing about the Kirby vacuum, it's the truth. You've got somebody that's bought one of those, and it was all simplified on a demo process. But the demo process is not everything, okay? I'm not afraid to give a free service away. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I couldn't hook them there, I didn't want to come back 8 times. So if I gave them a free service because I thought I could look into their eyes and say, "Hey, Jim, I know you're a little hesitant because you got a guy you're loyal to, but I say, tell you what, I'm going to give you a free service so you can see what this thing's really going to look like. But here's the deal. I want a commitment from you. If we really wow you after this free service, you're going to fire that guy and get us on the 15-day maintenance." And they would commit to that every time. And if they did that, I got them because we're going to do a great service. You know who taught me that? Remember Professor Ford on my list?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That guy taught me the Carney Brothers story. Okay. Pizza Hut at Wichita State, Kansas, gave away pizza on the first 500 stores they opened for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. What do you think that they were? Do you think they were slow after they gave away free pizza for 2 weeks? That store was popping.
Yeah.
They had lines around the building months after they got done giving the free pizza. Everybody knew where they were at, who they were, and then Ford also owned Miss Ellie's Barbecue. He would give away when people would give away a buy one get one free. He would just give one away. Here's a free thing for Miss Ellie's Barbecue. You get a full meal. Full meal. It's yours. Did you ever go to a restaurant by yourself? How many times in your life?
Never.
No one
I hate
does. No one does. Everybody brings somebody. He gave one of those away during a class, and one of the nerd kids, do you know how many people he brought? His entire office. The bill was $1,100 for giving away one free meal. Oh, and he taught me this. Ron, if I give them the free meal, even if they come by themselves, and I like the barbecue, what do? I come back and pay for it the next time.
Yeah.
And now you got a customer for life.
Lifetime
Those are the type of things that I've learned. Those are the type of things that I implement. Those are the type of things that are sales mastery. They close the deal sooner. I don't want to come back to somebody 8 times unless they're worth it. I'll go back. Veronica's funny because she knows the developer here. We got this guy here in town that she knows. We marketed this guy for 20 years. 20 years. We still don't have we don't have his business. We'll never get his business. Okay? But we still marketed him. And I've got a video out there that we marketed this company, this $250,000 account. It was 11 years later she called us. It's on the video. She says, after 11 years, she says, and I went through, 15 pressure washing guys. We're going to give you guys are so expensive, but we're going to give you a try because we're tired. 11 years later. 11 years.
So I love logistics. So let's go back to your sales guy with the equipment doing demos. He goes to retail locations. Do these have to be isolated, standalone retail buildings? Because if you go to like an outdoor outlet mall, for example, that's all property management. So do you go to the property manager at that point?
Property managers are going to be those 10 people you're going to visit.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not going to standalone stores and asking for the GM.
That's practice. 64 restaurants is $250,000 if you can sell 64 restaurants
on monthly services.
Monthly services, 15 days. The average is 15 days. Monthly service is not the popular service. 15-day service is most popular. Then 30-day service, then weekly. There's no restaurant that's not getting done monthly at a minimum, and most are getting done twice a month, and some high-volume places are getting done once a month. Gas stations right now are being done twice a month. Gas stations.
I don't know what it is about our area, but I don't think they do it twice a year.
They're doing it. You just don't.
They're just doing it wrong, probably.
They're fantasy washing. They're fantasy washing. People don't want me to tell you this, but the oil companies pay for the washing. The proprietor of the gas station doesn't even pay for the washing. So they're turning in invoices. If they're not doing it, they're turning in invoices. Yes. It's a brand. Branded stations are going to be paid for by Chevron, Exxon. They're all paying for that stuff. That's
okay, let's talk about setting up your first visit to a property manager's office. You go into the office, you talk to the gatekeeper, you put up your candy, your Post-it notes, whatever it is. What do you ask that gatekeeper? How's that conversation go?
Who in this office, if I can get it out of them, who in this office makes all the decisions? But guys don't realize this one. Sometimes the gatekeeper is who? The decision maker. Do you know why?
I do not.
Because the gatekeeper called off that day. So who's going to sit up front?
Oh, I got you.
The decision maker. Wait, the gatekeeper's out to lunch. The gatekeeper went out for a doctor's visit. Don't always assume you're talking to the gatekeeper. You have no idea You have no idea how many times I've walked into an office and says, "Is Becky here?" And she goes, "No, she won't be in all week." She is Becky. And she's telling you Becky ain't in, okay? And it's funny because that's it, when you really find out that she's Becky, then it's kind of a joke, after that fact. And don't bring in donuts, don't bring in alcohol, don't take in bagels, don't do any of that hokey shit. It don't work. Take them what they want. Find out from that gatekeeper that they've got a jazz for the fresh strawberry cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory and bring her one slice, not the office, one slice to the Target.
Her favorite Starbucks
You know
drink.
what happens? All the girls come out of their office and they say, "You got cheesecake? Who brought the cheesecake?" "Ron did." "Well, why didn't he bring me any cheesecake?" "Can he bring me some cheesecake?" And then later on, when you're building the relationship with that target, you're going to ask that target about the other girls in the office. Here's a dumb mistake, and this guy I hope doesn't watch the video. A very well-known guy listened to some of my stuff, and these people try to listen to my stuff and they try to copy it, right? So a guy thought that bringing in Girl Scout cookies was a good thing. Okay, it's always a good thing until you weren't opening your eyes up and they had the pictures of the brownies. You know what brownies are, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Girl Scouts on the wall behind their desk. And what else is sitting right below behind their desk? Boxes of Girl Scout cookies. The play is not to bring them Girl Scout cookies. The play was to open your damn eyes and buy a case of them. That was the play. Not to bring them cookies.
Yep.
So you understand that in Ron Musgraves' sales program, there's no script. You need to open your eyes and understand you're in there and you're investigating everything. You're trying to find out things about them, not phony things. You don't want to pretend that you've got some interest in bass fishing because they've got some bass on the wall and some fishing poles in the corner and a tackle box. You don't want to pretend to all of a sudden be this pro sport fisherman because you think you're going to build something in common with them. You're trying to find something that you want to build in common with them. But it doesn't mean that you couldn't bring a sportsman's card into them if it was allowed. It doesn't mean that they got golf clubs and you know this course is impossible to get on, but you get them a tee time for two. Okay. And maybe you fill the other spot with your salesperson and yourself, and now you're on a foursome with them. Okay. And you know, they're pissed off because you can't golf, but you go give it your all. You know,
I'm from the golf capital of America, Ron.
It's like this. Why would you give a person a seat to a ball game and not be sitting next to them?
Mm-hmm.
Or better, why would you not give them two tickets to a ball game where they bring their friend? Oh, and then you sit somebody in their industry that's your customer next to them. Even better, because customers can sell you better than what you can sell yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So now they know the person that they're sitting next to, and they're like, "Where'd you get your tickets, Ron?" "Oh, we got ours from Ron too. What a great guy Ron is. You use Ron?" "No, we're thinking about using them." "Oh, you should use them. I'm telling you, your properties are always going to be clean." Understand that? But nobody thinks like that. No, everybody thinks I'm going to go sit in the seat. They don't want to sit with a pressure washing guy.
That was one of the best 3 minutes of sales I think I've heard in the last decade. Honestly. So you don't even need to train your guys. Don't focus too much on the systems. Focus on the process.
No, right? The process though is definitely accountable. Do you understand this?
Yeah,
because
sure.
I can show you the metrics once they follow that process of the visiting and asking those right questions. Because yes, there are the right questions. I gave you one of them at the very beginning. When should I come back, Mary? That question right there is going to tell you everything. Okay. And then if Mary says I can come back, I got other things like, are you going to give me your property list? I mean, you're going for it there, right? I mean, you're going for the heart. Wait a minute. if I can get your property list, can I get your budget? No, I'm just kidding. but I'll teach you how to find the budgets, because I told you they're all nonprofit corporations. You should know this. They're tax exempt. That means that they have to be published for what reasons? Legalities. Nobody even knows that. Isn't that
Annually.
crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? They have to, well, they don't have to do it annually. They have to do it every 3 years, but you can still, if you look back at a budget 3 years ago, you're going to get an idea. Much. You're going to get an idea of what it's going to be.
Yeah, especially in our industry.
Yeah, especially in our industry.
Yeah.
We can go on and on, Trevor, but we've been on too long now, man. But whatever it is you want to do, wherever you want to go, you want to go home and go get some lunch right now. Oh no, you get dinner right now, right?
Dinner.
7 o'clock.
It's 7:30, man.
You're past dinner.
Yep.
Yeah, it's only 4 here.
I don't get to eat today.
You don't get to eat at all.
My wife brought me a wrap. She's always taking care of me.
I gotta rag on my daughter. She ain't got time to take a phone call because she's making a sale. She's been on my entire podcast this entire time.
I was wondering, man. I was like, man, that's pretty awesome. She's committed. This is pretty cool.
She hires people. She hires coaches for her teams. She hires coaches. She's tried to hire me. I won't do it.
Well, before we go, I want to give you the opportunity to tell us what you're up to these days, if you want to. If not,
yes, I'm gonna write as an extensive as a manual as I can possibly write on all the facets of pressure washing and exterior cleaning on just about every genre that is important. I'm gonna start with restaurant cleaning. We're gonna start with garage cleaning, and we're gonna start with gas station training. And I'm going to do a trio training next year, starting in February, with a company that I can't say who it is at this time, but they're a multi-million-dollar company, and we're going to do the on-site garage cleaning training. I'm going to do the restaurant and the gas station with just anybody's equipment, but this specific company, we're going to be doing it with just their equipment, and we're going to do 4 of those next year, one every quarter. Of the year, and they're going to be live hands-on training. They're probably going to be a 2-day event. People are going to say, how are you going to handle all 3 of those in a 2-day event? You and I both know gas stations are cleaned at nighttime. Parking garages can be cleaned in the daytime, just depending on what type of parking garage they are. And sometimes certain floors are empty, so we might do that in the evening or the night. But obviously, restaurants can be done, like I said, in the morning. So we're going to probably be on a little training schedule, 5 hours of classroom, and about probably 3 hours committed to each one of the genres as far as the training goes. At least that's how it looks now. We might have to do more for the garage just because the equipment's so large, and they're going to have more than one piece of equipment. This company doesn't clean garages with one piece of equipment. They take 2 to 4 pieces of equipment, and they knock them out fast. And it's the right way to do it, because let's face it, we know that customers don't want you in their garages for weeks at a time. They don't want you in there for weeks at a time. They would like to have you in and out of there at night if it was possible. We know it's not possible. But that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do the commercial sales thing. And by the way, it's all free. It's all free, so I'm killing everybody.
All right, last question. If you could only pick one segment of those industries, would you go after the garages? Would you go after the retail? Would you go after the gas stations? If you could only pick one, which would it be? It
would be retail. I'd only ever do retail. And we're going to do one of those eventually. We'll do just a retail show. But that's something that is pretty much that's going to be something like if we do a PWI reunion type of thing. I'll do something like that because it'll be big, it'll be huge. There's no way that won't be huge. It's probably the most profitable industry genre, and nobody even realizes it.
10-4. Ron Musgraves.
Another huge deal.
Ron Musgraves, the Godfather of Pressure Washing. If you don't know why I call him that yet, then I don't know what to tell you. You weren't listening. Appreciate you, Ron.
Take it easy, man. Good to be here.
We'll see you.